Hello, I'm Kwon Yoon at Hanshin University. Today, we are going to think about constructing data governance. This time is the third module of the data-based government course, which will be the first time to learn key issues in data-based government. This chapter explores data governance in the public sector. What is data governance, and various examples of data governance in the public sector are introduced. In addition, the main issues of public data governance and key factors for establishing good data governance are presented. In this module, we aim to achieve 4 goals. The first is to understand the concepts, types, and scope of data governance. The second is to understand the data governance practices of OECD countries. The third is to understand the diverse issues of data governance. Finally, the fourth is to understand the key factors for constructing data governance. The structure of this lecture is mainly composed of 3 parts: background and cases, issues and key factors. The history of data-based government is just beginning. Many governments are now starting data-based government in earnest. Data-based government is becoming a global trend, as we learned in the previous lecture. Data-based government is a part of the country's data policy. In the era of informatization, there were government informatization and private informatization in the national level. Like this, in the data era, national data policies can be divided into government-oriented data policies and private data policies. In order to lead a country's data policy, a decision-making system must be established. Many countries are trying to establish good data governance. Data governance refers to the decision-making system for data-related functions in the organizational system. Meaning of governance: software ruling system, system of interagency relationship, cooperation with the private sector. Data governance in a company is defined as a company-wide framework for assigning decision-related rights and duties in order to be able to adequately handle data as a company asset. Horn connected governance with optimal uses of assets, then treated data and information as an asset, which drives the importance of the governance of the data within an organization. Data governance can exist in any social system, such as countries, government organizations, corporations, and even civic groups. This class is focusing on data governance in the public sector, such as the country, central and local governments, and their departments. Data governance in the government organizations refers to a decision-making system centered on data policy. Data policy includes not only data policy for internal operation, but also data policy for operation in various policy areas of the government. Especially in the following, data governance is defined focusing on data-based government. Data governance refers to a decision-making system for vitalizing data-based government. So far, we have reviewed the concept of data governance. Now, let's talk about the different types of scopes of data governance. Here, 10 major approaches are presented. These different approaches will help you understand the content and scope of data governance. Data governance types and scopes can be broadly divided into traditional methods and data perspective methods. The 5 approaches in line with traditional government and policy are: the first is approach according to the micro level. The second is approach by type of government. The third is approach according to the policy process. The fourth is structure-actor approach. Fifth is public-private approach. Next, there are 5 approaches based on the data point of view. The first is approach according to the contents of data governance. Data leadership, data planning and management, data policy and role division, collaboration to share data, data conflict and reconciliation. The second is approach based on data policy type. There are 3 types of data policy. First is data-based government. It's about activation of data policy utilization. The second is data economy policy, revitalizing the data economy and industry. The third is data social policy. It is about resolving polarization caused by data use. The third is approach according to the data process. There is approach by data collection, analysis, utilization. It's another one, approach by data distribution and service. The fourth is data provider consumer approach. The provider is governance centered on data providers. It's about data egoism or privacy. Another one is governance centered on data consumers, data sharing, information security. The last one is policy technology approach. First one is governance focusing on policy-driven data. The second one is governance focusing on technology concerning data system. Next, let's look at data governance practices. Here, we will examine the structure of data governance from the perspective of New Zealand, Norway, the Netherlands, and Argentina using OECD data. First of all, for New Zealand, New Zealand has recently created a new data governance framework for the New Zealand government. Through this framework, New Zealand seeks to promote better data management in public domains and to use data as a strategic asset for policy making. At the heart of this framework is a whole of data life cycle approach. This means that organizations and members of the public sector are being asked to think more strategically about the governance and management, quality, and accountability of data throughout the data life cycle. In Norway, The Agency for Public Management and E-Government is presenting an information governance model that places data management in the public sector at the center of its digital transformation strategy in developing a new national IT architecture. Norway places data at the heart of its information governance model and seeks to make data a strategic asset for decision-making through a strategic vision, strategies, principles, and standards to make better use of data. In the Netherlands, the Standard Business Reporting, so-called SBR, reduces the burden of providing business information to local governments and banks. A steering committee defines the purpose and program of SBR, and a council decides the course of action. These factors strengthen the strategy layer of SBR's data governance. At the tactical layer, SBR plays a role in ensuring the consistent execution of the program. The delivery layer standardizes the data definition, in this case, using the data taxonomy defined by the Dutch government. It also defines the reporting process. The Dutch Ministry of the Interior and Kingdom Relations, which manages digital government services, is supporting the technical aspects of SBR. In Argentina, public data governance also includes 3 layers: a strategy layer, a tactical layer, and a delivery layer. At the strategic level, leadership and vision are important. At the tactical level, competencies such as organization, personnel, and budget, as well as rules and guidelines, are highlighted. At the service level, the data value cycle is emphasized. Finally, we will look at the issues of data governance and key factors. First, let's take a look at the key issues of data governance through the Governmental Data Governance Survey. This survey was conducted in 2018 by the Department of Management and Budget in Fairfax County, Virginia, USA, and 49 local and state jurisdictions responded to the survey. The main questions of this study are: would you describe your district's management governance of data as centralized or decentralized? Where is data governance management located within your jurisdiction's organizational structure? Does your jurisdiction have a chief data officer, so-called CDO, or position similarly titled? Does your jurisdiction have an organization-wide formal data governance policy or structure in place? The first issue is whether it is centralized or decentralized. 28 jurisdictions answered that they were dispersed, while the remaining 21 answered that they were centralized, showing more respondents saying they were dispersed. The second issue concerns the location of data governance. IT departments shows the highest with 18, followed by multiple agencies with 6. There were not many, but two responses were to have a separate data governance team. The third issue is about CDOs. 49% with CDO and 51% without CDO. Finally, the survey asked if there was a former data governance policy and structure in place across the organization, and the general response was no. And we asked if these policies promote decision-making, effectiveness, or efficiency. In this case, 73% of decision-making and 55% of effectiveness and efficiency answered yes. These results seem to show that while sympathizing with the need for data governance, the current level is insufficient. In the process of strengthening data policy and governance in the future, it is likely that the number of centralized CDO and data governance departments may increase. Next, let's look at the key factors of data governance. To understand this, you must first understand the aspects of data process management. In terms of data process management, 6 process elements are important: project context, data identification, data collection, data generation, data sharing, and data use. Data planning begins with strategic planning of a specific policy program or project. Define and collect necessary data in the process of policy establishment, implementation, and evaluation. Create data if it doesn't exist, or share it by requesting data from another organization. Finally, data is used to establish, implement, and evaluate policies. A collaborative approach is important when it comes to data development and project working. In data collection and generation, data management and sharing, issues such as technology and policy, organization, and regulation must be reviewed. In data use, it is important to know how valuable real data is to citizens, businesses, policymakers, and other public bodies who use it. In legacy issues, it is necessary to ensure that data collection, storage, and provision are made sustainably from a mid to long-term perspective. There are key factors for data governance. Here, there are 5 key factors. The first one is links and coordination between similar policies. The second is powerful and sophisticated data leadership. The third is systematic data management from a data analysis perspective. The fourth is enabling internal and external data sharing. The last one is the role of data owning departments. The first is links and coordination between similar policies. Data-based government is closely related to a variety of similar policies. Data-based government is a part of the National Digital Transformation Policy, National Informatization Policy, and National Data Policy. Data-based government utilizes public data, and in terms of data management of individual public institutions, it cannot be separated from open data policy. Database government is closely related to e-government, intelligent government, and smart city. E-government, intelligent government, and smart cities are focusing more on physical infrastructure. Database government stems from evidence-based policies. The ideology of evidence-based policy has now been established in systems such as database government, policy analysis, evaluation, and policy research. National statistics are created to be used in policy. Therefore, the national statistical system is also closely related to database government. Data governance should cooperate and coordinate with the institutions responsible for these policies, and ultimately these institutions should be included in data governance. The second is powerful and sophisticated data leadership. Data governance requires data leadership. Database government is performed by individual departments. Data governance should lead individual departments to perform data-driven administration. It is not easy for individual departments to perform data-driven administration. Individual departments do not even know what database government is, and they lack the capacity for data management and analysis. In the early stage of data governance, a clear direction should be presented to individual departments by establishing a thorough plan and strategy for database government. Early data governance should educate individual departments to understand what data-driven administration is and support infrastructure and guidelines for data management and capabilities for data analysis. In the mid to long term, it is necessary to transform the government into a competent government that solves various policy challenges of this era through convergence between policies by activating data sharing between each institution trapped in a silo. The fourth is systematic data management from a data analysis perspective. Until the advent of database government, systematic data management from the perspective of data analysis was not performed. In the process of e-government, EA and ERP-based information systems help to maximize the efficiency of internal management. However, these systems lack the perspective of using customer data analysis to make decisions. The big data analysis system has been actively introduced by many institutions only recently. Data governance should manage the list and contents of analysis data, including source data. Individual institutions are made of several departments and members. They individually manage the analysis data necessary for their work. Data management transcends time and space, so it must be done enterprise-wide and real-time. The last one is enabling internal and external data sharing. Based on the principle of division of labor, all organizations are functionally separated down to one member. If they perform similar functions, they are grouped together and departmentalized. One member or one department knows their job well because they only perform their job, but does not know the job of another person or department well. However, since the functions of each other are closely connected throughout the organizational system, considerable interconnection is required, but effective communication is difficult due to differences in values, interests, or terms used. In addition, since specialization by function cannot be perfectly realized in reality, the functions overlap each other a little at first and then to a considerable degree later. In some cases, according to the ideology of competition, a plurality of identical functions are placed. These basic principles of organizational operation can be directly applied to data-based government. Data is distributed among individual institutions, individual departments, and individuals. Since all functions of an organization are connected, every individual or department wants to track the data held by their other individuals or departments in the process of carrying out their work. However, individuals or departments that own data are reluctant to share data for reasons such as data selfishness, privacy protection, and lack of legal basis. Therefore, various measures should be prepared for and implemented to promote data sharing. Data governance establishes an incentive system of carrot and stick for data sharing, serves personal information protection issues through the development of personal information anonymization technology or establishment of a specialized data combination institution, and lays the groundwork for data provision in individual laws. Lastly, we can consider the role of data owning departments. There are data that are frequently used in the process of performing data-based government. There are public data with high usability, such as population data, national tax data, health data, welfare, employment, education data. Organizations that own these data should play an important role in data governance for data-based government. It is necessary to provide a place for them to lead data linkage, cooperation, and sharing for data-based government. It is necessary to increase the execution power of decision-making in data-based government by actively participating in data governance. Here is a summary. Data governance refers to the highest decision-making system for data-based government. Data governance can be divided into various types such as national, institutional, department level, data collection, analysis, utilization level, and policymaking, execution, evaluation level. Although many countries are pursuing enterprise-wide and integrated data governance, the actual implementation of data governance has not been successful. For successful settlement of data governance, linkage and coordination between similar governances, data leadership, systematic data management based on an analysis perspective, data sharing, and the role of data ownership institutions are required. Thank you.